Today I want to talk to you guys about this thing called loneliness. It's something that I have personally struggled with, is this feeling of I'm all alone, that no one is in my corner, or that no one is supporting me or supporting of me. So, we'll go ahead and run that intro and then we'll get started. The first thing that I want to point out to you guys is this story from the Bible about a man named Elijah. He was a prophet during the reign of Ahab and Jezebel, his wife. And Ahab and Jezebel were probably one of the worst leaders that Israel has ever had. I think it's pretty well agreed upon that they were one of the worst. They allowed for this cult to come up where they worshipped this god named Baal. And this Baal cult, as well as other cults, arose during this time, and it led the people's hearts away from Jehovah, and they started worshiping Baal. You can read about it in 1 Kings. I believe it's 1 Kings chapter 18. You can read about how Elijah came before Ahab and said, all right, get all the prophets of Baal and get them to meet me at Mount Carmel, and we'll challenge and we'll see which God is real. The God that answers by fire, let that God be God. So they set up these altars, one for Baal, and Elijah set up one for Jehovah, for the Lord. And Baal did not answer by fire, but the Lord answered by fire. So it was a miracle. One of the things that Elijah said before this took place was he said, I, even I only, am left a prophet of the Lord. Elijah felt like he was by himself, I think, because he said that. But if you read the chapter before that, or a little bit before that, it might be in the same chapter, but there was this man who was over the household, and he worked under Ahab, and he hid some of the prophets of the Lord in a cave, 100 of them it says, by 50s, in a cave, and he fed them and gave them water. So Elijah wasn't the only prophet of the Lord during this time. But he felt that way. He felt like he was all alone. After this happened, Jezebel was furious because Elijah then went and slaughtered the prophets of Baal. So Jezebel, she sought Elijah's life, wanted to kill him. And Elijah became afraid and ran. And people look at that and they're like, wow, this miracle happened where fire fell from heaven. And Elijah is scared of Jezebel. I feel like maybe he ran because he felt like he was alone. And he felt like, okay, nobody's here to help me, so I'm going to run away. I'm going to run down to Mount Sinai. And that's what he felt like he needed to do. Up to this point, it's noteworthy to mention that he was led by the Lord, led by the Spirit of the Lord to the brook and then to the widow woman before this happened. But the Lord didn't say that the Lord led him to Mount Sinai. I think he just ran because he was afraid. That's just my personal opinion. Then, when he's on Mount Sinai, he said, and he's talking to God on Mount Sinai, and he says, this is 1 Kings chapter 19, verse 14. He said, I have been very jealous for the Lord, the God of hosts. For the people of Israel have forsaken your covenant, thrown down your altars, and killed your prophets with the sword. And I, even I only, am left, and they seek my life to take it away. Elijah's just being honest with God at this point. This is how he feels. And it's true. The people of Israel, a lot of them had forsaken God's covenant. A lot of them, and it's true, they had killed his prophets, the Lord's prophets. But the thing that wasn't true, I, even I only, am left. So this is how the Lord responded to Elijah. And then this is when the rocks and then the fire, but the Lord wasn't in the rocks or the fire, but he was in the still small voice. So the Lord spoke to Elijah. The Lord said, yet I will leave 7,000 in Israel, all the knees that have not bowed to Baal, and every mouth that has not kissed him. So here, the Lord acknowledges that, Elijah, you're not alone. You're not the only one left that's trying to do the right thing and that's trying to serve me. And we also know by the account of the man that hid the prophets in the cave. We know that Elijah wasn't alone. He wasn't the only prophet left, but he felt that way. Maybe you are feeling that way today. Maybe you're feeling like, I'm the only one at work that's standing up for the Lord or trying to do the right thing. I'm the only one at school. I'm the only one of my peers that's trying to do the right thing. Maybe you feel that way, even if that's not really the case. Maybe you feel that way. These are my 3 reasons for feeling like you're alone. The first reason is pride. And that's something, I feel like pride is something like loneliness that we all have, that we all struggle with. Pride in this sense, though, you feel like, oh, I'm the only one doing the right thing. And it kind of like, look at me, you know. It's kind of a holier than thou, almost. Even if it's not evident, or if it's not something that you really acknowledge. It may be something, maybe you feel like, oh, I'm the only one that's trying to live for God. Or no one tries as hard as I do. You may feel that way. And I think that's a form of pride that leads to you feeling alone. Point number 2, self-centeredness. You know, whenever you feel like you're alone, you tend to focus on yourself and things, and you become self-centered. And again, as a psychology major, I kind of think about these things. And one of the things that I've read in a book, we constantly think about the things we attend to. So if you're constantly thinking about something, if you're constantly obsessing about something, that's the thing that you're going to be attending to, that you're constantly going to be thinking about. If you're constantly thinking about yourself and your problems, you become less and less sensitive to the needs of others. I think that's a cause of loneliness, is you get kind of self-centered, and then you just think about yourself all the time. And that's easy to do. The third thing I think that happens is, I think we become ungrateful for the people in our life that we do have. I think ungratefulness stems from pride and self-centeredness. Because if you're constantly thinking about yourself, you're constantly thinking you're the only one doing the right thing, you tend to forget the people in your life that are trying to do the right thing. You forget, about the people that you go to church with, or the people that are praying for you. Maybe you have a grandmother or an aunt or a dad or a mom that's praying for you, and that is in your corner, and that does try to help you along life's way. So our ungratefulness, in this sense, may cause us to forget about those people. I've given these 3 points: pride, self-centeredness, and ungratefulness. For pride, the thing that you can do is humble yourself. I know it's kind of obvious, but 1 Peter chapter 5, starting with verse 6, it says, "Humble yourselves, therefore, under the mighty hand of God, so that at the proper time he may exalt you, casting all your anxieties on him, because he cares for you." And I think that's beautiful. God wants you to come to him and say, hey, I feel alone. God wants you to be honest with him. And there's nothing wrong with telling God, hey, I feel alone. There's nothing wrong like with what Elijah did. I only feel like I'm the only one left. You know, God wants you to come to him and wants you to cast your anxieties on him, because he cares for you. He cares for me. He cares for all of us. And at the proper time, he'll exalt you. He'll help you. He'll lift you back up. Second thing you can do to counter the self-centeredness is you can reach out. Like Luke, if you've watched The Last Jedi, reach out. You can reach out to the Lord, and he'll help you. He'll reach back out to you. You can reach out to those that are in your life, like a praying grandmother that you may have, or a good friend that you go to church with. You can reach out to those people, or a pastor. You can reach out to those people, and they can help you along the way, to help you with this if you're battling loneliness. And then, to counter ungratefulness, the third point, you can become grateful. And I know that's kind of obvious, but I just want to point that out. You can do that. Just remember, all the things that God's done for you. Those are the things that I feel like we can do to battle loneliness.